This month, in recognition of Bibi Moore Campbell, National Minority Mental Health Awareness Month, Unapologetically Black Unicorns is proud to present a special 5-part series on Black youth mental health, supported by Hopelab and featuring the Hopelab HBCUs, historically Black colleges and universities, translational science fellows. The music featured throughout this series comes from A New Deal for Youth, an album produced through a New Deal for Youth initiative, a program of the National Collaborative for Youth Policy. It amplifies the voices, creativity, and leadership of young people. We hope this series informs, motivates, and reminds us all of the importance of investing in mental health and well-being of Black youth. So let's cue the music and let's get into it.
New deal for youth. What you wanna do here? New deal for youth. What you wanna do here? New deal. Change it up, I need a new feel. New deal. My problems is too real. New deal.
Okay, welcome back to Unapologetically Black Unicorns. And we are at it again because this is the month that we're focusing on Black youth mental health. And we are doing it thanks to Hopelab. I've got one of those fellows with me today, Dr. Raquel Martin. And Dr. Martin, what I like to do is have guests introduce themselves. I do not read a bio. It's much more exciting to hear from you how you want to be introduced.
Oh, okay. Well, first of all, thank you so much for having me. My name's Dr. Raquel Martin. So I am a licensed clinical psychologist. I'm also a professor and scientist in Nashville, Tennessee at Tennessee State University. Reside in Nashville, but I'm from Philadelphia, and I specialize in Black health and well-being.
Oh yeah, that's not just a jest that you focus in Black health and well-being. And yay, woohoo, Philly! I'm from Philly in a way as well. I went to college in Philly. So,
which one did you go to?
I went to Temple.
Oh, so did my mommy. Go Owls!
Yay! My dad worked at Temple, and he retired at the age of 82 or 3 as a faculty member. So he was there for a long time as well. So yeah,
awesome.
We love Temple. Okay, so let's talk about your work and also what you're doing with Hopelab relative to the Translational Science Fellowship. What is that all about?
Yes. So my project focuses on Black identity development in youth. And we've been doing qualitative research, so qualitative data collection. So we have done focus groups and individual interviews. And it's evolved a bit because we were very lucky with our cohort to be able to get a second year of funding. So the first part of the study was with high school students. And since we were able to have a second year, I decided to expand it to college students for the second year. And we did both individual interviews and focus groups with Black youth in high school and in undergrad. And it's a national-based study. So for the focus groups, they were in person for high school students, but the individual interviews were national. So it was across the U.S. when it comes to recruitment. And for the college students, the focus groups and the individual interviews were national. So it's just anyone who was able to meet the requirements, attending a university. And then they also submitted a survey, which is it wasn't ridiculously long, but it's a racism response scale, which talks about different experiences they've had with racism and how they've impacted them and things of that nature. And with the data collection, the goal is to just cross-reference and look at themes when it comes to identity development, different things that I've noticed when working with Black youth. I looked at different themes such as spirituality. I also looked at resistance to oppression. I also looked at fluidity. But when it came to identity fluidity, it wasn't in the way that I think we hear about it more so now in terms of gender and gender identity and things of that nature. It was more so this thought process of what it means to be Black and what that is like and the evolution of their minds when it comes to Blackness over time.
Yeah, I love that. And I love the idea that you're focusing on Black identity development. Mm-hmm. I don't know how many people really think about it relative to the almost a protective factor, perhaps, to somebody's mental health and well-being, especially as Black folk.
Yeah, it's most certainly a protective factor. It's kind of like the epitome of like I know who I am, so I know who I'm not. And we also have to think about the fact that like the removal of education from our identity or our culture and cultural oppression has very much been used to separate and sublimate and just cause pain against the Black community. So the antithesis, the opposite of that is very much true. Like the embedding yourself within your culture and your community, knowing about yourself can be the thing that very much pushes you up and improves your mental health and well-being. And there's such an effort to take it away. We should also see that as a, very much as an act of violence. So I think about like the reason why it's so important to do research on this is because research has also been used to oppress us. So it also has to be used to liberate us as well. So as a
Mhm.
professor, and I'm also a practicing psychologist, I always state that like there's never going to be a time where I'm not doing some realm of research and some realm of science because science has been pseudoscience, has very much been used to oppress Black people. So I want to use that same tool to combat the like the pseudoscience and the fallacies that are out there in the first place. So
Right.
it's great.
Right. Yeah. Snaps, claps, thumbs up to that. I mean, sometimes I've heard, oh, you can't use the master's tools to decimate the master's house. And
That is like my least favorite quote. I'll be
thank
honest with you.
you.
And I know it get used
Thank
all the
you.
time, but I'm just
Yes.
like, well, what are you talking about? Like, are you talking about money? Are you talking about power? Are you talking about science? It's just wholeheartedly
You
untrue.
you actually can take the tools and use them for your own benefit, like our own benefit, right?
Yes. Why do you think they
So,
used it? I always say oppressors always use the long game when it comes down to it.
mm,
Like, when I'm talking to my students about injected oppression, instead of like, it's not internalized oppression, it's injected oppression that evolves into internalized oppression. I always say you only have to tell someone they're unworthy or not intelligent or, five times. They will tell themselves they are the sixth. So if the tools that were used to tell them that they weren't, you have to use that to break it down. Like I can't,
mhm.
every time someone says that, I'm like, who?
Yeah. I wonder if we've been told that so that we won't, that it's almost a
That's
way
what
of
I'm saying.
keeping
I'm like,
people ignorant, you
oh,
know?
yeah. It's like all of my students, I'm like, anyone who tries to convince you as youth that you don't have any power are trying to convince themselves more than you. Like you please. Oh, well, the master's tools are money, so I guess I shouldn't aspire for any. The master's tools are power, so I guess I should just be happy where I am. Like, what are you talking
Yeah,
about?
be very careful. Be very
No, I
careful
can't
about
stand it.
where the
Everyone who
message
hears
came
this,
from. Yes,
stop
yeah.
saying that.
So
It's
thank
not
you.
true.
Glad we were there. That was not expected, but so glad there. But and when you're talking about like this about Black identity and Black development of identity, like
Mhm.
how are you going to take all of this information from these young people and turn it into a tangible tool? Are you doing like a digital kind of tool or how?
Yeah, I'm hoping to create an entire resource for them. The goal is, although they participated in one aspect of the study, the goal is to create a resource, but have a youth advisory board on the resource. And the people who participated in the research study would be the first individuals that we reach out to. They have in their consent form if we can reach back out to them. It is for youth. I always state that like when I'm creating things, it's with youth, not for youth. I asked questions about Black identity development, and then I also ask a wealth of questions about digital resources and things that they use, like things that they're looking for. One of the biggest things we looked into in terms of Black identity development is agency, right? Which is really, really important for all people, but especially for Black people where that's taken away often. So we ask questions: what are environments where they feel as though they have the most agency? What does that look like? And something as simple as creating a resource where a lot of things that they mentioned in terms of agency was like financial means. So like creating a resource where you look up agency, and under financial agency on the digital resource, there are pods with other youth entrepreneurs, or like they like quick video. So like a quick 60-second reel about ways that you can make sure you're financially independent when you're older, or even agency in terms of advocating for yourself if you feel as though you have dealt with like a racist incident and you have to advocate. So like thinking about it that way in
Mhm.
terms of creating it into a tangible resource. Collecting data throughout, like the resources that they use, the things that they like, the things that they don't like, not only from the data from the digital resource, but also from the youth advisory board that we want to have embedded in it. To
Yeah.
me, my dream is like, okay, so like technically I'm a adult, a grown up. I don't feel that way. I'm like a 37-year-old toddler, but like tell the grown-ups what you need,
Hmm.
how we can support you, how like the things that you need for the app, and you guys kind of are the driving force behind it. We're kind of just like the money and the tech behind it. So the goal is definitely to create a digital resource, but one that continuously evolves,
Yeah.
because their needs will evolve and the youth advisory board will evolve. But it's the epitome of creating something with them, not simply for them.
Yeah. And so kind of what gave you this idea to, think of doing this in a digital space? Is it because we're finding how many youth are using digital tools or it's
Oh yeah.
easier or
That's all
yeah.
they like I mean, I I'm a big person of like meeting you where you're at. Every generation, I think the youth gets a bad rap, right? But I don't know if it's because we're in a generation where the youth are like they're the generation where they're perceived more than anyone else. Mental health wise, just as a psychologist, I can state that it's not healthy to be perceived by so many people. It was never meant to be this way in terms of social media. And there's like 50 social media platforms. And there's some random person in Iowa can tell you in New York what they don't like about your outfit. Like that's not normal. It's
Hmm.
not normal to be perceived by someone, but you're dealing with a generation of individuals who that's been their entire life. Like I always say, back in my day, you couldn't get on Facebook without a college email, like it was it was very much like a gate kept thing. And MySpace was where we learned how to code basically. And like and I was like, it wasn't as deep. I mean, the most deep thing about social media was if you changed your top 6 friends. And like it was like a huge thing because it's like, oh yeah, we got into an argument, girl. So I had to get rid of her. Like we're not going anywhere.
Hmm.
And I'm big on like meeting people where they're at. I don't think anyone has enough access to licensed mental health professionals or psychoeducation, but especially ones that specialize in individuals with African and Caribbean descent. Like, I don't state that like working with people of color is my specialty. I say people of African and Caribbean descent because it's very much a specialty. Your mental health is inextricably linked with the way the world treats you, and Black people of African and Caribbean descent don't get treated differently than anyone else. Their history is different than anyone else. So I think in this aspect of generalizing, we've lost so much of the utility of what could be there. And I'm a psychologist. Only 5% of licensed psychologists in the US are Black. 2% of psychiatrists in the US are Black. Like the numbers are absurd. So I've always wanted to create more access and the people speaking directly to Black people.
It gets to the people who it needs to get to, right?
It
And I
gets to the
think
people it needs to get to, and they're taking it the way they want
representation.
to.
Yeah, and representation is so important, especially when I saw what your project, was around this idea of, not just Black youth mental health, but the identity piece too, because what's happening in the digital space. Like I spent this weekend, and yes, I went down a rabbit hole because I was trying to understand all of this digital blackface stuff. And
Yeah.
so like that to me, when I think of myself, I'm an adult. Well, I hate to say I'm an older adult, but maybe I have to say that now. But I'm an adult, right? I'll say I'm a grown ass adult. I'll put it that way, right? I'm a grown adult. And I have the ability to discern when something is digital blackface, when something is either racist or blackface to take advantage of Black people, Black youth, but young people don't. And how is
Mhm.
that impacting how they see themselves when they see like really discriminatory, stereotypical stuff in the
Yeah.
digital space? Like, do there need to be more of us in this space to counteract all this other crap that's in the space? I don't know, but I was excited to see what you're doing to help our Black youth in particular. I was just on a call with the co-author of a book chapter that we're doing, and the editors went through and changed how we wrote stuff. And we specifically said at the very beginning, we are using language as we use it in everyday.
Hmm.
So the editor went and changed it to what would be quote unquote conventional English. And it's like, no, we're not doing conventional English. You can't do conventional. You need to
Yeah.
leave it the way it's written. People will understand it. It's not African American English. It wasn't AAE. It was just, this is how we speak. And it was so funny to kind of go through and say, no, we can't change that to that because that's not how I speak, or no, that's not how she speaks, or whatever. Because I think they wanted it to feel a bit more academic. And it was
Which
like,
is all a farce, right? Language
yeah,
is meant to be a communication tool. It's kind of just like when I was growing up,
yeah.
or even with my son, my oldest is just the critical thinker. He's amazing, but he'll like correct me like something as simple as like put the plate in the sink. Oh, this is a bowl. Did you know what I meant? You knew what I meant, correct?
Yeah, yes,
Okay, so like
yeah,
it's a tool for communication. If you can understand what I'm stating, and that's another way to gatekeep. It's like we would prefer for it to be stated this way. Yes, I know, and that's why we specifically said we're not going to put it that way because we
right.
want it to be more digestible and accessible in the first place. It's all like
Mhm.
smoking me. Like it's just like who the number of times I probably say, yeah, I don't want to. Who cares? Like, did you know what I meant? That's the
Yeah,
goal. Like
yeah,
you.
yeah,
But people will say a certain system is broken, and I'm like, no, no, that's how it was meant to be.
right.
It's works by the design it was supposed to. What I'm stating is I'm not doing it according to that design because it is not the design was never created for the people I'm trying to help.
Yeah, yeah.
So yeah, good on you for advocating for yourself. We would prefer if there were more, Oxford commas and get out of here, like
Yeah, no, it was
like,
actually words they were changing, and it's like, that's not even how the general public
no
says
one
that.
talks like
This is how,
this.
like, nobody says that. Nobody.
Yeah.
So when you read, you have many people, not all people are audio, right? So, but when you read, you hear yourself say the word. Or you
Hmm.
hear yourself sign the word if you are somebody who is using sign language, for example, and it ain't going to look like what the person wants. I said, that's not how it's going to look. That's not how people say it.
Yep.
That's not how, whatever. So we'll see what happens if it comes back or not. But, this has been that book thing has been an interesting process to try to flip how we want to approach communication and how we want to approach, writing in an academic setting. So for you in this project, has there been anything new that you've learned throughout this whole process with this translational science fellowship?
I mean, I'm not a tech person. I think a lot of people assume because I have a pretty, I think I have like a bit of a following that I'm like a tech person, but I literally record on a front-facing camera and edit my stuff on myself. Like it's not like if something happened to my computer, I probably put the whole thing in rice. Like I'm not a tech person. So one of the things that's been amazing with the fellowship is we get to have engagements and encounters with big names in the field that are able to help us with different things. Like there's tech embedded in what I want to do, but that was one of the things I was like, see, but like that's not something I know. So that's one of the biggest things I'm going to need help with. We had this amazing meeting in DC. I think it was like last month, and it was about messaging, and it was about like a media like the messaging and being having a better way to communicate things, and it was fantastic with the individuals who came in, and they we recorded some clips and they edited them, not edited them, but told us like feedback on directness and making sure the message gets across and different dynamics and how different dynamics will have different messaging systems. So that's been amazing. Something that I already knew, but one really good benefit I think from the program is the fact that like most of us in academia, but especially in HBCUs where we're really like fighting for our lives, not only to do our job, but also to mentor and stuff, is that we're pretty siloed most of the time, like just trying to get the courses done and things of that nature. So I think one of the most amazing benefits from the fellowship are the relationships I was able to make with my cohort mates, and staying in touch and being able to not be so siloed when it comes down to it. Because it's very easy to like keep your head down.
Hmm.
And I always state, no matter what job I have a million jobs. Like my babies and my students get the most attention from me. So it's just like, and that's also what made the translational work of social media pretty easy. Like, I have two children. I'm pregnant with another one, but as long as I have like 10 minutes, I record stuff pretty quickly. I always state, despite my following, I probably take social media less seriously than the average person because I'm just like, I mean, the internet isn't a real place. They're like, what if someone disagrees? I'm a doctor. I mean, like people can disagree however they want, but like you disagree with opinion, honey. This is a peer review. This is a fact. So like I do not care. But it doesn't take as much time because the info was already in my head. Like it'll be, oh, this was a good psychoeducation piece from a session I had on Wednesday. So I did a post because I think more people could utilize that. Or, oh, I just read this paper that talks about this. So I do a post because it's like no one else is going to read this paper. Or, oh, like it's like, oh, so Tuesday and Thursday I taught this course and the students actually said like, oh, that was something they didn't know. So I do a post on it so more people have access to it. It doesn't take a good amount of time because I literally am doing this work. It's really just like, what did I do on Monday? Oh, that could be like, it's just very
Yeah.
quick, but it's easy to be very siloed, like keeping my head down, teaching in a class, doing the video. Like it's just very easy to do that. So I think one of the best things, in addition to the information and the connections that we had, is being able to connect with other professors
Mhm.
across the country because none of us are, at the same university that I don't think I would have been able to do beforehand. Like I go to the conferences and I do the things, but I take in the information, I present, and then I go back home to my family.
Yeah.
I, print the papers and I do the things, but then I go back to doing what I'm doing. It's very easy to be siloed. And I think that's a big stressor. Because yes, we're all in academia, but HBCUs are not the same. They're
Yeah.
simply not. Like it's a big level of stressors. When we're working with Black youth, there's a bunch of work that talks about how our students reach out to us more, not only in the realm of teaching, but in terms of mentorship and like providing more care. I'm at Tennessee State University. It's a state university. I have a lot of first gen college students. So it's not even just about completing the class. It's about a lot of times they don't have someone else to be like, what do you mean financial aid? And is it registrar or bursar? And why does that matter? And I missed the deadline. And why do I have a refund check? And what am I supposed to do with it? Like
Yeah.
it's a lot.
Yeah.
So it's great. I think that's another really, really good thing. In addition to all of the information for our grants and fellowships, like they really do prioritize, like, yes, definitely get your work in. Also, like when we have meetings, it's like, also, this is time for you guys to like eat, or we go to the Black Panther Party Museum and think about how that informs your work. So
Yeah.
I keep telling them, I'm like, yes, like there's no fellowship like it. Even the application process was just like, I don't want to say far too simple. It's the fact that other applications are far too complicated, and the fact that they were just like, explain what you want to do with the money.
Yeah. Let's get to the heart of it. Yeah, yeah.
Like,
I'm what like why do we make it so well, never mind. We know we were answering my
they
own
literally,
question, right? Like why am I going there? Like why do we make it so difficult? Because
they
it's gatekeeping, right?
it's
So
gatekeeping. They were just like, tell us who you are, tell us what you want to do, tell us what you want to do with the money. We interview you. That's the
yep,
application
that's it.
process.
Thank you so much. Yeah, that's the snaps, claps, thumbs up to that. Thank you, Hopelab, for making things like that's all you really need to know to kind of move
For
on.
treating us like adults who aren't
Yes,
trying to scam anybody, who
right.
actually like we're academic. What do you think I'm gonna do? What
Yeah,
do you think I'm
yeah,
going to do?
yeah, yeah.
I'm trying to save the world. Come on, man.
Yeah. And speaking of saving the world, I heard you go there. You try to save the world. I heard it. We could do it. When we think about, the listeners of unapologetically Black unicorns, they're pretty diverse all over the place, from people with lived experience, people of color, Black people, disabled people. I mean, it's literally all over the place, which is kind of fun and kind of like sometimes it makes it a little hard. But at the same time, you know, we're talking right now about, and you're very specific about African and Caribbean descent, young
Mhm.
people, Black youth. What do you want to leave our listeners with that is so important about why we're even focusing on Black youth?
Because not enough people listen to them. I would say if I could leave you with anything, um, the same way I mentioned, like I think every generation they get the short end of the stick. This one, I think it's the worst. And I'll have people being like, "Oh, they don't talk," or "Oh, they don't listen." When I tell you, I have to expand my office hours. I have to be like, "Hey, y'all, I really have to pick up my child. I have to go." I've never had an issue with students speaking or learning or listening, because I've actually created an environment where they understand that their voice is not only heard but valued. So listen more. Like, as a psychologist, that's a lot with clients, and they're just like, my child isn't interested in this or interested in that, and I'm trying to build a relationship with them. And I'm always just like, well, yeah, they're older. So you have to court them. Go play the stupid video game, man. Read the books that they're reading. Like I used to also do significant amount of assessments with youth and stuff, writing IEPs and 504s. And I always say, like, I've never met a child who didn't want to learn. I met children who were hungry, who were exhausted, who couldn't see the board, who had dyslexia and that had been picked, but I've never met a child who didn't want to learn. I've never met a person who didn't want to learn. I've met individuals who they're in silos or the stuff doesn't center them. I remember the books I read, luckily, we're avid readers in my home. But the books I read in high school were objectively trash. They just were not, I was never centered in anything. I mean, technically, I guess there was a bit of a mention of people who look like me and Tom Sawyer, but not in the best freaking way. Like, are you
Mhm.
freaking kidding me? Like, if it wasn't for the fact that I was reading outside of school, I would think that all books were this terrible. Like, no book centered me. Every character was described as like flat haired, blonde gleaming in the sun. Like if it wasn't for the fact that it had been embedded in me in my home, I would literally have no interest
Hmm.
in reading or learning because I would think that that is the barometer. And that's why Black identity development is so important to me because someone who's from Philly is very big in my home, but then moved to Nashville, I'm always like, I could have never survived here.
Mm.
My God, right? So
Yeah.
like when you have this aspect of like children don't listen or children don't learn or they don't care, it's like children learn and talk and do all that in environments where they understand that their voice is heard and valued. So if they're not talking to you and if they are not sharing with you or they're not building relationships with you, you need to think about what you have done to show them that their voice is heard and valued in that space. It's you.
Hmm.
I
Yeah.
have never. I technically work with like one of the most difficult demographics, and when snacks and go ahead and sit down. Like I literally one time walked into my office, had happened to leave it unlocked. They were everywhere, and I'm like, hey. I have to teach a class. They're like, yeah, but that's not like for 30 minutes. So we
Mm.
just figured we stop by. Oh, okay. Cool. I mean, I just stocked the fridge, guys. Like it's just like, what's the big deal? It's very rarely the youth.
Yeah.
I mean, and as someone who my favorite demographic is legit angry teens. Like I love them. Like DC court system, or like adore them. Like because they're the people who are listened to the least.
Yeah.
I just always say like I've never met a child who didn't want to learn. When you're thinking about that in that environment, think about what you're doing
Hmm.
to show them that their voice is heard and also like show them in a way that respects them because a lot of times one of the biggest things that I have issue wise that we have to break down clinically in therapy and anything that we do is that people are asking for respect when they're really defining obedience, and respect and obedience are not the same thing, right? We obey the police, but obedience breeds fear and resentment. Respect builds relationships. And I do understand with the demographic that I work with, it's very hard to create something that you've never seen up close. But I'm
Hmm.
gonna tell you the same thing I tell my children: just because it's hard doesn't mean you get to opt out. And
Right.
I'm talking to a 6-year-old, a 7-year-old, and a 4-year-old.
Hmm.
Like it's hard. I feel you. Oh,
Yeah.
you still got to do it. It's just hard. The difficulty just tells me the level of effort you have to put forth. However,
Hmm.
you still need to put forth that effort, honey.
Hmm.
That isn't, mm-mm.
It
It's
doesn't
hard. Thank
exceed
you
it.
for letting me know that.
Yeah.
Let me know how I can help. You
Yeah.
still gonna do it though. Like that's just not what it is. So yeah, it can be difficult to build new relationships and stuff like that. But a lot of times people are acting like they're asking for respect and they're asking for obedience, and it's not the
Yeah.
same thing
Yeah. Yeah.
in no way. And
Yeah.
it can be hard to build that even though you haven't seen it. But that doesn't mean you get to opt out of doing it.
Right.
Figure it
Right.
out.
Yeah.
We
Yeah.
figured out harder things.
I
I'm not
am.
here for it.
Yeah, 1000. And I've also, as you're talking about this, I think about what happens when people hear no, when
Yeah.
somebody says no, and suddenly it's like, oh, I got to take control because they said no, because you want them to do what you want. You're not listening to what their no means to them. That
Hmm.
really strong listen and leaning into the no to hear more about, well, what is that no about? Many times I find people react to the no. They just react to it and then try to
Yeah.
take control. So I think, again, sort of this respect, obedience, and, really, really listening in. So as you work, you're working on your project. If you
Hmm.
have sort of this, I have two questions, quick ones. Well, I don't know how quick, but one is about sort of your next steps in the dream for your project. So like, what is the dream when it's like completed?
Oh, to see how people use it and what they like and what they don't like. I've always liked to see like what I got right, but that is not as fun as like what I got wrong, to be honest.
Mm,
And I think that's just the epitome of who I am. Like, it's just like, yes, that's great. But what did I get wrong? Like, what do I need to correct? What do I need to delve into? What did I say was important to y'all? And y'all were like, who told you this? Like, so coming, watching the program come to fruition, watching it evolve, and just being able to create something with youth, like that they want and that they use, like just being able to give them another resource. Like, that's the most exciting thing. And then the option to be able to collaborate one of the individuals the research I adore, Dr. Charity Griffin, who's been doing this work for so long. And even that was very much like when I was doing my work, I was like, this sounds like the stuff you're already doing. And she's like, no, it's not the same exact thing. I'm creating a resource, but we utilize what to impact it. And I'm like, okay, so like, yes, let me figure out a way to um utilize my work to can really very much combine with yours. But that can even be a different thing. People can just be like, well, I'm still gonna do it my way. And it's just like, and yet this person is doing something amazing, got all the tech stuff, all that. You can use your data to help inform their work. So I think creating the resource,
Yeah.
and having the youth use it and being able to let them have the agency to be like, we like this, we don't like this. And have them be at the center of it. Like I can't wait to, and it's a long-term thing, right? Like the goal is, I mean, it would be amazing if it was something that's, I mean, TikTok's on its way out, but like something as long lasting as some of the social resources. But I remember when I was coming up in school, Khan Academy had just started, and
Mm.
like it was literally just created because he wanted to teach his niece or nephew, like couldn't find tutoring for it. And it's a huge thing and a huge platform. So being able to watch it grow and have youth be at the center of it.
Awesome. Awesome. So my last thing is, because we're getting ready to wrap up, and I ask all of my guests on the podcast to leave our audience with a wisdom drop. I call it wisdom dropping. And you've dropped wisdom throughout this whole conversation. But if there's like this one last thing you want to leave the listeners with, what would that be?
I think I always state that like therapy doesn't have a monopoly on healing, no matter what path you take when it comes to healing, whether it's activism or therapy or spirituality, it's going to be paved with community. So I do understand that as a psychologist who has a psychologist, that therapy can be something that a lot of people hurl at individuals as an insult. I don't say you need therapy. I say like you deserve to have another person on your team if that's possible. But I don't want you to think that healing and progress and evolution of thought is limited to the therapy room or the therapy screen. Community is the biggest resource that I've ever had, and has been for most people of African and Caribbean descent when it comes to kinship and when it comes to community and when it comes to mutual aid, when it comes to sharing resources and things of that nature. So yes, therapy is fantastic, but it does not have a monopoly on healing. I don't believe in individual wellness. For individuals of African and Caribbean descent, we're a collectivist people. That's just what it is. So community is one of the biggest things that I would say lean on, and figure out how you build that community and what it looks like, and it getting your intentional time. In the community having all different age ranges. I think one of the things that really also makes it so that I do a good job of what I'm doing is like transgenerational mentorship. Like youth, I mentor them, but they mentor me too as well with stuff. And especially people older than me. Like it's I think I learned from youth, but people older than me, the clarity is one of the best things that I look forward to. Some people are fearful of aging. I'm like, man, listen, everyone older than me is way more chill. I can't wait to think like all the amazing things that I will care more about and care less about. Like aging is the most amazing things. Like all of the Black women around me, most of them are older than me, which is one amazing because I get to be the baby and I never have to pay for anything. But it's also amazing because they're just like, girl, this is not a thing. Like you're doing a great job. It's just fantastic. And I hope to be that for the younger generation too. Like when you pay it forward, we go out to lunch. I'm like, y'all have no money for this restaurant. Let's just please,
Yeah.
we're going to do this. We're going to go to the bookstore, just chill. Like, and just being able to do that. But then also being able to give to them because like the quickness of which I'll be like, oh no, I said, no, I don't want to do it. So I'm not doing it. And they're just being like, so that's just your boundary. Oh, that's my boundary. That's if they don't respect that, they don't respect me and I'm not doing it. It's very different generationally when they're just like, oh, well, I don't feel comfortable doing that. And I'm like, I would. You're not going to, like it's just, I feel like we all learn from each other. So it's not only community, but I think the the transmission of ideas,
Hmm.
and it going both ways. I learned just as much from youth as I hope they learn from me. And I learned just as much from those older than me. But it's like it's assumed that you learn stuff from the people older than you. You never think about what they also get from you.
Right.
And I try to tell youth that all the time. It's like it's probably why I always teach. It's like I learned from y'all too. Certain stuff that I thought I did good not putting up with, y'all have, they block everybody. Like they really do. Like they really like their threshold is certain. They've overcorrected as well. Like
Yeah.
there is an overcorrection. There are certain times where I'm like, well, we've seen to jump the gun now. Now I think you do need to have a conversation with that person. That's not how it works. So I think we quit that job a little too quick. But there are other things
Yeah.
where I'm like, no, you're right. That is a sign of disrespect and you should model that. So I would say, build your community, be intentional about it. It deserves your time, not just like your leftovers. And also just be aware being a community means you're going to be irritated.
Yeah.
Like that's just what it is. I think people expect to be like, well, it's all sunshine and rainbows. No, I get irritated by myself. You think you're not going to get irritated by somebody else?
Yeah. Yeah.
Does it just learn how to have conflict in a healthy way? The issue is not conflict, it's poor conflict resolution. But therapy may get you for the weak. Community helps you get through the system. And that's what we're dealing with now.
Right, right. 1000%. Snaps, claps, thumbs up. So, and this, I don't know what this is. I don't know what you call this. I need to say what I'm doing because I really realize that
Oh, it's not video. Yeah.
we're not videos. I'm this. What is this? What are you talking about, Karis? So it is the sign language for eight, which is,
It is. It's
and then
wait, it's like the
you
middle finger
and you
and the
just keep
yeah.
tapping your middle finger and your thumb over and over again, like you're
Yeah, I just keep copying over
clapping.
it. But it's the sign language for eight because black people was like, oh, that eight, right? Like, so then they would just do like that. But now everybody just doing whatever. And it's just the perfect example of like, yeah, it's because this was not meant for y'all. It was meant for us. But it was
Because
for
I've
eight.
seen
Like,
people do the seven. It's like, ooh,
yeah, that's
seven,
what I'm
seven, seven,
saying.
seven. Unless you're gonna
No.
do 6 7 6 7 6 7 6 7 6 7, then
No, it's
what,
the sign
right?
language for eight because it's supposed to be like, oh, you ate that. Like, no crumbs left. Four plus four.
So you have taught me as someone who's younger than me, and I'm also very skilled in sign language, and I did not even know, and that would not be American Sign Language. That would probably be Black American Sign Language then for
Oh,
eight.
possibly, yeah.
Oh, we just learned something today. Hello.
Yeah.
I mean,
But
we learned
yeah.
a lot today. So thank you, thank you so much for
Thank you so
joining
much for
me.
having me.
Oh my gosh, thank you so much for joining me on Unapologetically Black Unicorns. And I do what my producer says I have to do. So Raquel, just shut your ears on this one for a second. But basically, my producer says, like, comment, subscribe. That's what we're supposed to be doing. And we both say the most important thing to do, however, is to share this podcast episode because we never know who needs to hear these important messages. And with that, I'll be signing off and we'll see you next time on Unapologetically Black Unicorns. Thanks for listening to this special Black Youth Mental Health series from Unapologetically Black Unicorns. You can listen to the complete series on our YouTube playlist as each episode is released, and you can find a link to A New Deal for Youth, the album featured throughout this series, in the show notes. So join us next week for another power-filled convo with one of the Hopelab HBCU Translational Science Fellows. And until then, you be you, because there's only one unapologetically you, and that's exactly who the world needs. Thanks for listening to Unapologetically Black Unicorns.